Good evening again, South Elementary Mustangs. How are you doing? We are here to begin Chapter 12, The Mirror of Irised, tonight with Principal Puzio. I hope that you are working hard on your distance learning assignments and choice boards and in your Google Meets with your teachers, and that you're learning a lot. Just a quick reminder before we begin, boys and girls, that it's really important that we continue to learn from now until the end of the school year. And I know it's just a few weeks now that we are getting toward the end of April and the beginning of May, and the end of the regular school year is approaching us in the next few weeks. But boys and girls, it's really important that we continue to learn, okay, so that we are ready to move on to the next grade level next year. And that goes from all the way from the 5th graders who are getting ready to enter 6th grade at the middle school level down to our little preschoolers who might be getting ready to do a second year of preschool or their first year of kindergarten. We want to continue to learn. So everybody keep working hard and doing what teachers are asking you to do so that you continue to learn, okay? All right, let's go ahead and begin with Chapter 12, The Mirror of Irised. And boys and girls, this is kind of a long chapter, so we're going to split this one into 3 shorter parts. Christmas was coming. One morning in mid-December, Hogwarts woke to find itself covered in several feet of snow. The lake froze solid, and the Weasley twins were punished for bewitching several snowballs so that they followed Quirrell around, bouncing off the back of his turban. The few owls that managed to battle their way through the stormy sky to deliver post had to be nursed back to health by Hagrid before they could fly off again. No one could wait for the holidays to start. While the Gryffindor common room and the Great Hall had roaring fires, the drafty corridors had become icy, and a bitter wind rattled the windows in the classrooms. Worst of all were Professor Snape's classes, down in the dungeons, where their breath rose in a mist before them, and they kept as close as possible to their hot cauldrons. "I do feel so sorry," said Draco Malfoy, one potions class, "for all the people who will have to stay at Hogwarts for Christmas, because they're not wanted at home." He was looking over at Harry as he spoke. Crabbe and Goyle chuckled. Harry, who was measuring out powdered spine of lionfish, ignored them. Malfoy had been even more unpleasant than usual since the Quidditch match. Disgusted that Slytherin had lost, he had tried to get everyone laughing at how a wide-mouthed tree frog would be replacing Harry as Seeker next. Then he had realized that nobody found this funny because they were also impressed at the way Harry had managed to stay on his bucking broomstick. So Malfoy, jealous and angry, had gone back to taunting Harry about having no proper family. It was true that Harry wasn't going back to Privet Drive for Christmas. Professor McGonagall had come round the week before, making a list of students who would be staying for the holidays, and Harry had signed up at once. He didn't feel sorry for himself at all. This would probably be the best Christmas he'd ever had. Ron and his brothers were staying too, because Mr. and Mrs. Weasley were going to Romania to visit Charlie. When they left the dungeons at the end of potions, they found a large fir tree blocking the corridor ahead. 2 enormous feet sticking out at the bottom, and a loud puffing sound told them that Hagrid was behind it. "Hi, Hagrid. Want any help?" Ron asked, sticking his head through the branches. "Nah, I'm all right, thanks, Ron." "Would you mind moving out of the way?" came Malfoy's cold drawl from behind them. "Are you trying to earn some extra money, Weasley? Hoping to be a gamekeeper yourself when you leave Hogwarts, I suppose. That hut of Hagrid's must seem like a palace compared to what your family is used to." Ron dived at Malfoy just as Snape came up the stairs. "Weasley?" Ron let go of the front of Malfoy's robes. "He was provoked, Professor Snape," said Hagrid, sticking his huge hairy face out from behind the tree. "Malfoy is insulting his family." "Be that as it may, fighting is against Hogwarts rules, Hagrid," said Snape silkily. 5 points from Gryffindor, Weasley, and be grateful that it isn't more. Move along, all of you." Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle pushed roughly past the tree, scattering needles everywhere and smirking. "I'll get them," said Ron, grinding his teeth at Malfoy's back. "One of these days I'll get him." "I hate them both," said Harry. "Malfoy and Snape." "Come on, cheer up. It's nearly Christmas," said Hagrid. "Tell you what, Come with me to the Great Hall. Looks a treat." And here, boys and girls, looks to be a fun illustration of Ron in our book. So Harry, Ron, and Hermione followed Hagrid and his tree off to the Great Hall, where Professor McGonagall and Professor Flitwick were busy with the Christmas decorations. "Ah, Hagrid, the last tree. Put it there in the far corner, wouldn't you?" The hall looked spectacular. Festoons of holly and mistletoe hung all around the walls, and no fewer than 12 towering Christmas trees stood around the room, some sparkling with tiny icicles, some glittering with hundreds of candles. "How many days you got left until your holidays?" Hagrid asked. "Just one," said Hermione. "And that reminds me, Harry, Ron, we've got half an hour before lunch. We should be in the library." "Oh yeah, you're right," said Ron, tearing his eyes away from Professor Flitwick, who had golden bubbles blossoming out of his wand and was trailing them all over the branches of the new tree. "The library," said Hagrid, following them out of the hall, "just before the holidays. Bit keen, aren't ya?" "Oh, we're not working," Harry told him brightly. "Ever since you mentioned Nicholas Flamel, we've been trying to find out who he is." "You what?" Hagrid looked shocked. "Listen here, I've told you, drop it. It's nothing to do with what the dog's garden." "We just want to know who Nicholas Flamel is, that's all," said Hermione. "Unless you'd like to just tell us and save us the trouble," Harry added. "We must have been through hundreds of books already, and we can't find him anywhere. Just give us a hint. I know I've read his name somewhere." "I'm not saying nothing," said Hagrid flatly. "Just have to find out for yourselves then." "Well," said Ron, "we'll just find out for ourselves." And they left Hagrid looking disgruntled and hurried off to the library. They had indeed been searching books for Flamel's name ever since Hagrid had let it slip, because how else were they going to find out what Snape was trying to steal? The trouble was, it was very hard to know where to begin, not knowing what Flamel might have done to get himself into a book. He wasn't in great wizards of the 20th century, nor notable magical names of our time. He was missing too from important modern magical discoveries and from a study of recent developments in wizardry. And then, of course, there was the sheer size of the library. Tens of thousands of books, thousands of shelves, hundreds of narrow rows. Hermione took out a list of subjects and titles she had decided to search while Ron strode off down a new row of books and started pulling them off of the shelves at random. Harry wandered over to the restricted section. He had been wondering for a while if Flamel wasn't somewhere in there. Unfortunately, you needed a specially signed note from one of the teachers to look in any of the restricted books, and he knew that he would never get one. These were the books containing powerful dark magic, never taught at Hogwarts and only read by older students studying advanced defense against the dark arts. And that, boys and girls, I believe is where we're going to stop for tonight. Like I said, it's a little bit of a long chapter, so I'm going to break it into 3 smaller chunks so the readings will be a little bit shorter for the next couple of nights, just due to the length of the chapter. But we will do the second half of this chapter the next time I see you. Have a great night, have sweet dreams, and we will see you soon.